We have an officiating problem.
I think so.
We have an officiating problem. I mean, I think this goes back to the league office, and there are points of emphasis on 15 different things every year, and the game is becoming too hard to officiate. There are too many cameras that are showing too many things, where every single little thing is micromanaged. And I've always been an advocate of getting it right, but I mean the minutia and the conferences, and it screws up the flow of the game. And then you have stuff like this that makes no sense in the world. Why? I mean, like Steph Diggs barely blocked the guy, and it was 60 yards from the play. What are you doing throwing that flag? But I think like a huge part of it, Connor, is these guys are so worried about someone showing something on Twitter or someone showing something on Tuesday on First Take or whatever it is,
Yep.
and showing them up. Like they just throw flags on everything now. And it's infuriating to watch because it screws up the greatest game on the planet, And then, like the performative stuff from guys like Hockey, where it's like, all right, dude, get over yourself. Like, we don't need the 15-minute explanation.
You've been on this beat for a couple of weeks now, by the way.
I mean,
can you elaborate?
Son of Hockey, and like that whole act is just, it kills me because it's like, we don't need the explanation. No one turned on the game to watch you. All right. So like, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you that you did a 20-week program of curls to get yourself ready for the season, get yourself get yourself prepared for the camera.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't need a full-on explanation of what what a chop block is. I just, and it really does, like, it messes with the flow of the game. And like, this is where I actually, and college has its own problems with officiating. But with the stuff going straight to the booth in college, a lot of this stuff is handled without all the theatrics on the field.
Yeah.
I just, there's got to be. I mean, I'm at the point now where I think they've got to take officiating down to the studs and rebuild it, because they've got all this technology, and instead of changing things, they're just sort of adding things on. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like you're building this big pile of things, right? Oh, well, we'll do this and we'll do that. And that's fine. Like, do stuff to improve it. But it just feels like you're adding and adding and adding and adding. And it's like, now there's more to officiate, which I've got sympathy for the officials. It's hard to see anything with a game that moves that fast on field level. And now you're giving them like 13 new things to look for every year. That's really hard. So if you want to help with the cameras, fine, but it can't be just on top of them trying to do that. Figure out a way to streamline it and do it better. Like, there's got to be a way to streamline all of this. Not to mention, like, I think there's probably a dozen guys on, at 345 Park that are sitting there with 12 screens and Twitter open over here, concerned about what the general public is thinking about what's happening, and worried that it's going to wind up on some TV show on Monday.
They should be worried that it's going to be on the MMQB podcast, and it is. Now you're in hot water.
You thought you got away, but we got you.
We have our eye on everything here. I think that,
and I have sympathy for them because it is hard to officiate. I don't have sympathy for the showman, but I
love this Hockey beef that you have. It's so good. It's so
it's
awesome.
Just like too much. And it's like his dad did it, and it was kind of fun. Like, it was kind of fun, like watching his dad, because his dad was like sort of over the top with it and whatever, and it almost felt like everybody was in on the joke. This just
remember,
feels
son,
like
this is
imitation.
about us.
Huh?
Said, remember, son, this is about us.
But this is just like, I don't know, like this one is like, this feels like a bad imitation of that. You know what I mean?
It does. And it's like anything else, right? So the way that, and I'm not defending the structure of modern journalism, which is also flawed and has its own issues, but you and I are in the trenches covering a season and the biggest sport in America, and overhead there's a lot of stuff happening, and you can't have your eye on everything. There's 32 teams, there's thousands of players, and you have an editor or you have someone else in the background being like, hey, actually, did you see what's going on over here? Like, that's kind of interesting. Or, hey, you keep, going over here, but why don't you look at something like this over here? I mean, that's what we need. I mean, these officials need a hand on their shoulder, and they need a way for someone to almost like, because every game is a story,
Yep.
help them kind of live edit the game where, because again, holding can be called on every play, pass interference can be called on every play, but you have to pick the right spots. You have to make the calls in a way that is going to better the flow of the game and
Well,
allow everybody to, so it's like you need somebody to take you out of the weeds and to be on headset to headset contact with you to just help you in the flow of that. And they just don't have that. They don't possess that right now.
I just think it's like minimizing officiating, not, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, how can we,
Yeah, or go
how
in the
can,
background like they did in the 70s and 80s. That's fine too. I don't
right?
care.
Like,
But
how do we use technology to streamline it? And like, it feels like technology is slowing it down and not speeding the game up when it should be speeding it up, right? Like, that's the whole idea of technology, is to make things more efficient, is to streamline things, is to get things moving faster. And, like, this is like, we already had like a high speed internet connection. And now this has sent us back to dial up, like,
right.
where I just, I don't need the conferences. I don't need the reviews. And I don't, and again, like, I have sympathy for the officials, who I'm sure a huge part of this is like, they're out there trying to make heads and tails of something that's like a complete blur in front of them, with all these new emphasis and everything else that the league office puts on their plate, because there are people there that needed to justify their jobs, right? So like, well, we need to make these changes to make the game better. It's like, no, you really didn't need to do that. And and what you wind up having is an official out there, again, who's trying to make sense of all of this, and he feels like he's got Big Brother looking over his shoulder the whole time. And that's why I think the flags are getting thrown nonstop.
I agree. It's gotta stop. Mike Vrabel said after the game, I don't have an answer for you there. And so yeah, I mean, I think that's that about
I
says
mean,
it.
I like the OPI on Stefon Diggs is legitimately like maybe the worst call I've ever seen. And like, what was even worse than that was the Denver Philly situation last week,
Oh yeah.
where they did the grounding. Remember
Oh
that?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, where, for people who missed it, and I hopefully I'm not screwing this up, but it was like they didn't call grounding. Then they had like a 40-second conference. Then they dropped the flag, right? So then it is grounding, and they give the explanation. And then all of a sudden there's no explanation, and Denver's back in 3rd and 6, which means New York
Never
called
mind.
them, which
Yeah.
is,
But you can't because it's the same thing, right? It's like, and it's like I have a hard time writing about a game that I haven't watched from the beginning, right?
right.
And I'm not saying that New York is not watching all these games from the beginning, but they're like New York headquarters, they have all the games going on at once, right? And so
Yep.
it's kind of hard to stay dialed into everything at the same time. Like, you have to understand I mean, that's different. That's like a rule issue, right? That's just understanding the letter of the law, but it's also like a flow thing, I think, too.
Right.
That's just like these guys just don't have the in-stadium help. But all right, we got a
Sky
lot.
Judge, Sky Judge, Sky Judge.
Again, please,
We'll have a
please,
bake
please, please,
sale for
please,
you,
please,
Roger.
please,
Sky
please.
Judge, Sky Judge, Sky Judge.
I know it's crazy.
Just put a guy up there and like let the play clock legislate it, where if it's obvious and it needs to be overturned, you'll figure it out within the context of the play clock. If the play clock runs out, it wasn't obvious anyway, the game
Yep,
goes up.
bingo.